Welcome back to Learning Partners. So I'm starting new series where I will be creating videos mainly focused on the daily to daily activities, like whenever we are working in an IT industry, what are the normal scenarios we face, just like inline editing, dynamic form, right? Reusable, creating reusable components. So I will be keeping all the code into the GitHub, so you all can have access to that. But with this starting, I'm the first video I'm taking is inline editing. In inline editing also, I will be taking two examples. First is the basic, and in second, I will be trying to complete all the validation and everything, right? So for in this episode, we will be just trying to complete the basic scenario. So if you already know, like JSON placeholder site is there, which provides the free API. So this is a API which gives us the response of user. So I'm going to integrate this in my this basic inline editing component. So this is my component. So I have just created a basic project. In app module, I have added forms module and the HTTP client module. These are the two basic things which we are going to need. Now, in here, I need to first create the constructor, because we are going to create object of HTTP client, right? So here, private HTTP HTTP client. So why private? If we are not going to use this service in our HTML, so rather than keep it as a private only, then load all users. I'm creating function. In that function, I will be writing API call. So this.http.get. API is get. And for get API, we just need one parameter, that is URL. Let me just copy the URL. So this is my URL. So this will go over here. Then we need to catch whatever the response that API is going to return. So we need subscribe. Round bracket, again round bracket, result, colon, any. This is just the data typing what we are providing, like what kind of data we are getting. So we are going to get the array. So let's make it array. Now we just need to store the data. Why it is going? Okay, let me keep it as any only. Now, whatever the response I get from that API, I need to store that into a variable. So user array colon any, it is going to be array of empty, right? So what I have created, a simple variable I have created. Now in subscribe of this, I need to store that response over here. So res, whatever the response I get from this API, I need to store that into this user array. Now I need to call this function on the page load. There are two ways to do that. Either we can do that in the constructor, or we can implement the ng-on changes. ng-on. So I'm implementing implement on init. Now after constructor, we have to implement on ng-on init. So ng-on init is the lifecycle event hooks which gets called when the component is ready, right? So let's save and check. We haven't done anything. We have just made the API call on the page load. So let's see if we get the API call or not. Let's reload the page again. So on the page load, in the network tab, in the page, you can see one API call is there, and whatever the response I have got, that we have stored into that variable, right? So the next thing is we just need to show the records into the table. So I will need, let me just create a row column structure of the bootstrap. Let's say call 12. Now here I will be using table. Inside table, I will be needing t-head. Inside t-head, I will be needing tr and then th. Serial number. Let me just create the basic table structure, right? So these are the basic things, basic headings we are going to need. So after t-head, we need t-body, right? In t-body, again, we will need the tr. Now we have to use the ng for on that particular array where we have stored the response which we have got from the API. So that is nothing but user array. Let me just zoom a little bit. So the response I have got, it is in this user array. So now I need to hold that on this here using ng for equal to let user of. Then after of, you need to pass the array variable name. then we need that number of TD. So TD count will be fixed as of we have the heading. So 1, 2, 3, and 6 TDs, 6 heading we have in the T head. So that number of column we are going to need, right? So in the first column, you can see serial number, but if you see the API response, we don't get any serial number. ID is there, but just as a practical scenario or the good programming practice, we don't show ID anywhere. So we just need the serial number. So right, so we can get the serial number from the for loop itself. So I'm again creating one variable that is let index or let serial number equal to index. So I'm just creating one variable that is serial number, and I'm storing index into that. So I just need to print that using interpolation over here. But indexing will start from the 0. I will show it. Let me save. So you will get to see, like, you can see indexing always start from the 0. So we just need to increment it by 1. So SR number plus 1. Let me just add classes. So table bordered. So just 2 classes will add. So it will now take 100% width. Yes. Okay. Now, so we have, if you can see, serial number now has started from 1. Now we just need to show the data, right? So here user dot, now let's check. In the first column is name. So let's check the API response. What we have, the property is capital, small, and name. So that will go over here like that. Let me just copy paste the basic thing. Then after that, username. So let's just go here, copy the field name, paste it over. Always try to copy paste, right? Email, because if you make any spelling mistake now, then you won't be able to see any data printed out there. Phone and website, the last thing. So let's save and check. Now we will be able to see all the API response. Yes. So you can see all the API response is there, because this API returns only 10 records. So 10 records we can see, right? Now next thing is we need to make, let me just add the color table success, so that we will have the header with some color. It doesn't look good. Let me remove this. BG success. Let's try. Yes. So now it is looking good. Let me add just text white color. So our aim is to create a inline table editing. So what do we mean by inline table editing? As in, we should have some options here, like we need to add one more column. There we will have edit and the delete icon, right? So for that, I need to install Font Awesome. So let me just install the Font Awesome. Or for now, I will just add the link of Font Awesome into index.html. Later I will install, because it will waste my time. So I'm just copy pasting this CDN, and I will paste it into my index.html. Let me just close it. Now, so we just need to add one more heading, and heading will be action, and then TD. And inside the TD, I will need 2 icons. So let's go to Font Awesome site. We need just the edit icon and the delete icon. So Font Awesome 4.7 icon. So for edit, we normally use that pencil icon. So you can see this is the icon I'm going to use. So let's see the class name. Let me just copy this. Let's paste it over here. And second thing we are going to need is for the delete. So delete trasho. This is what we can do. Let me copy paste it over. Let's save and check. We should be able to see the edit and the delete icon. Yes. So you can see we have the icons. Let's just add some color. Let me just copy the color from my app component. So this is the color I'm going to use. So let's create a class, icon, color. This is the color I'm going to use, hash value. Then font size, let's say 20 pixel. Let's save and check. Yeah, okay, so you can see we have got the icon. We just need to separate it out now. So that we can do using text center class. So let's just add it, class text center. And let's add some spacing also. So padding right or px2 we can use. Right, so now it is looking fine. So now we will start with the inline editing. Now what we have to do is, once I click on the edit icon, this td should be converted to the text box with this value. I will repeat it once again. Once I click on the edit, this td means this value should be converted into the text box with that value, right? So to achieve this, what we can do is, I will just add a text box over here, or let's create a div. Here I will have text box, type text, then I will bind ngModel. So before using ngModel, make sure you have forms module into your app module component, right? Now for ngModel, I will pass this, the for loop instance and the property, right? Let me just create another div, and in that second div, I will have the interpolation. I just wanted to show you like this. By doing this, whatever the value we have into that name, means a particular object, that will be binded to the text box. You can see text box is having also the same value. Now what we need to do, on click of edit, we have to just show this text box, right? And we have to hide this. So only at a time either text box will be visible or directly this div will be visible. So for that, what I'm going to do is, I'm creating one function. So that is click on edit, round bracket, and I will pass the object, that is user, for loop object. Let's create the function. Now from HTML we are sending a complete object, right? So we need to cache that as a parameter over here. So user obj :any. Now what I need to do, the complete object I will be getting in this user object. So what I need to do is simply, I just need to add one more property into this object. So that property will be, let's say, is edit equal to true. So whatever the object I have got, I have added one more property into that object, that is edit is equal to true. Now I can use this property to hide and show. So on this div star ng if equal to user dot this property. If inside user object we have this property as a true, then this text box, this div will be visible, and in the vice versa, means not. So I just have to add not over it. If edit is not there or it is false, we will be showing this. Let's save and check now. Right, so if you can see, by default I get the text, but now if I click on edit, you can see it is converted into the text box with the value. So let's just do the same thing for remaining TDs also. So I will just copy paste this. Second TD, just I need to change the ngModel and the property binding. That's it. Let's remove this. Let's same thing for the email. If you have some requirement like out of so many properties, you just need 2 or 3 properties to be editable. So you just have to do this into that particular TD. No need to do it for whole TDs. It's again as per your requirement, like what number of columns you need to be editable. So like that you can do. Let's take website is not editable, so we won't touch the website. So let's say even check. So if I click on edit, you can see all the other text box are converted into the editable, but website is as it is. So this is nothing but inline editing, right? Now, if you click on the other, so you can see multiple text box are editable at the time. But what if I have to restrict user that only one row will be editable at a time? So we can do that by using simply for loop. So on click of edit, we are calling this function, right? So here what we need to do, first we need to use for loop. So I will use for each. For each will be on this array. And I need to just change the isEdit property to false. Dot isEdit property to false. So simply this for loop, what it will does, it will add one, it will change the isEdit property to false for all the rows, right? After that, we are changing the current object to true. So let's see. Now only one row at a time will be editable. So let's click on edit. See, the previous one is getting disabled, means coming back to normal form. On whatever the rows we are adding, that it is making editable, right? So this is first time. Now this is for the existing record. What if I have some button on the add, and on click of add also I need to add one empty record to the table? So we can do that. Let's just add an add button above the table. Dot row all 12. Let's create a button. btn class. Primary, and let's say add new. So on click of add new, what we have to do, we just have to add empty record to this table. So how we can do that? Now let me just make it to the end. And right, so on click of with add button, we just need to create one function. So that will be again click event on add round bracket. So let's create this function. So now what we have to do, we just need to add empty editable row into the table. So for that, we have already the array. So we just need to push empty object. So the object will be, let me just copy paste the object from here. So this is going to be the object with certain fields. In your case, fields can be anything, right? So constant obj equal to curly bracket. Let me just remove the things which we are not using, right? And the object which we will be pushing is empty object, so that in text box we don't have any data. So you can see I have just created an empty object. Now this object I will be pushing using unshift. So now, because why unshift is like this dot use, because we need to add, on click of add, we need to add the editable row into the top. So that's why unshift. So unshift will add the element to the top of the position. So we need to push obj. Let's click and save. Let's click on save and let's check it now. So you can see on click of add. Okay, so we have got one row added, but it is not editable, because what is the condition for editable? This flag should be true. So while we have created object now, here we just need to add one more property, that is edit, and value will be true. That's it. So let's check now. So now on click of add, you can see we have got editable text box. One more thing is remaining. If row is editable, let me just refresh. If I click on edit, you can see row is editable. So I should get save and cancel icon over here. It should not be edit and the delete now. So for that, let's check the icon, save. What we can use, let's use the floppy disk, or right icon is there. Let me just find the perfect icon. We have the circle and the right inside that. I just need that icon. Let me just search, close. So this class I will be needing to cancel it out. Let me just copy. Now, in the last TD only. So this is the part, these are the two icons which should be visible, where these icons will be visible if I have, means the row is in non-editable mode, right? So let me just copy this and paste it over here. Now I will use the same ngIf. So you can see by pushing just one variable into the object, we can achieve inline editing. So if this is false, so if isEdit flag is false, we will be showing edit and the delete icon. But if it is true, then we have to show save and the cancel icon. So if it is true, this is cross cancel. Let's check for the save what we can use. Let's just use the floppy only. Or we can use cloud also. That will look good. So this will be for update, right? So let's save and check. So now if you see, we don't have anything row editable, so you get edit and the delete icon. But if I click on edit, you can see save and the cancel icon is there, right? So this, let me just add the classes. px2 is going to be needed over there, right? Now this is just a, what we can say, basic scenario I'm taking, but on click of update, you can call the API. So that will be right. Click on update, and you just need to pass the object only, this object. So let's just create a function. Right? So from here we are sending the object. So whatever the object we are sending, we will get that user obj over here, :any. And this will be the updated object. So you can write your API call over here. Write API call and send object. And this object will be updated one after user enters some details. So let me just save. Let me just print it out so that you can see. We have the debugger, so let's check it out. So on click of edit, we will make that row editable. So you can see the existing name was Erwin Howell. Let's try to rename that. Let's make it Sachin. And if I click on the save icon, so in user object, you can see the updated value. See, in the user object, name is updated. Then you can send it to with the API, right? If you are doing with the local storage, just save this latest object to your local storage, or you can use the API, right? And then you need to send whatever the object you are getting, right? This is one thing is done. Other thing is, if I don't want to update and if I want to cancel it out, okay, on cancel, we haven't written anything, right? So on click of cancel, we just need to again make the editable row go away. So for that, click on cancel, round bracket, and again we need to send the object. because in that object we need to change that isEdit property to again false. So obj::any and obj dot same property, that is isEdit, we need to make it false. Let's save and check. So if you see, we have the normal. If I click on edit, we get the save and the cancel again. But if I click on cancel now, you can see it is again going into the non-editable mode. But one thing scenario is there, like if I click on edit and if I change something, right? And if I cancel, still that value is there. But this should not happen because we haven't said update, right? But still that value is there. So now to handle this, we need to do little extra bit coding. So on click of edit, right? So on click of edit, what we have did, whatever the object we have got, that we have stored, right? On click of edit, what we have the object, just we have changed the flag. So we need one more variable where we will be storing the old data. So old user obj::any, right? So we have created one object. Now on click of edit, what we need to do, so in that old object, we need to store the whatever the object we are editing. But while storing, we need to stringify that because we have to disconnect the link. So JSON dot stringify, and then we have to pass the user object. Let's save. Now, so if I print it, let me print this at the top with JSON pipe. So now if I click on edit, you can see the record is printed over here. On which record? See, Cement and Bausch record is there. Let's click on the first record. You can see Linen Graham is a record. So whenever we click on the edit, that object we are storing into that variable. Now the trick is on click of cancel, we just need to assign all those properties into that particular object, because whenever we change na, that value get changed. But at the time of edit, whatever the data was there na, original data, we have stored that into that variable, this variable. So on click of cancel, what we just need to convert that stringified object. We have just converted that object into string. We just need to convert it back to the object, and then we can assign it. So let me create constant old obj is equal to, what we have to do, JSON dot parse method. So JSON dot parse method is used to convert string object into actual object. So this dot old user object. Then we just have to assign all the properties one by one. Object dot, what are the fields we have that we need to assign? That is name is equal to old object dot name, obj dot username equal to old obj dot username. Like this you need to do it for all the properties. So let's save and check if we get the original data back. So on click of edit, we get this. Let's check Samantha to something else. PPP. And if I click on cancel, again we can see Samantha we have got. So this is possible because we have stored that old data while click on edit on a separate variable. But make sure you store that with string, right? While storing, make it in the JSON.stringify, and while retrieving back, use the JSON.parse. So this is very basic example of the inline editing, right? On click of delete also, we just need to pass the object, just like edit and delete. So just this thing was remaining. So like this, just write the click event on delete, and we need to pass the object. Then you can make the API call, right? On delete, we are passing the object. Then you can get that over here and you can pass it. right? Then in here you can pass the, if your API supports, if your API need whole object, you can pass it. If your API needs object ID only, then you can pass it, right? So this is the whole, what we can say, scenario based first example, that is inline editing. This is only basic. In next video I will be trying to implement the validation also, right? If I remove this, still I can submit it. So if it is not, if all the text box is not valid, then I will just disable this icon or hide that. Something I can do. I will show the validation here, or I will add the round border over here. So that kind of validation we will do, right? So hope you are liking this video. Please do like. I will, what I can say, I will push this code to the GitHub repository mentioned in the video description. That's it. Thank you for watching.